Hey, what's going on? It's Mike from Stupid Simple SEO, and welcome to this niche site bootcamp. And in this first video, we're going to talk about the power of niche sites, or why niche sites are worth your time, and why I love them so much, how they help me make a passive income. And so I'm going to share some slides with you, and right now I'm going to go into my slides and share my screen. Just give me 1 second. So again, this training is all about the power of niche sites and why you might be interested in starting and creating your own niche site. So let's just level set here for a second before we get into this, right? So you are in the right place in this training if you want to start an income generating niche site, but you're struggling to get started, or you've tried this whole blogging thing before, but are ready to finally make money with a new site, or you want to have a proven system in place to pick a profitable niche, create valuable content, and actually monetize your traffic, right? So let's talk about why most blogs actually fail, okay? Think about all of the blogs that are out there, and the vast majority of them don't make any money, right? The number one problem is that most bloggers end up picking the wrong niche, right? They can't monetize it, they can't get traffic. It's just the wrong niche, and if they pick the wrong niche, they're just done from the outset, right? They'll never have a chance with their blog because they picked the wrong niche. And what feeds into that is a misunderstanding of how blogs or how niche sites actually get traffic, right? How do you actually get people to your site? Part of that also is a misunderstanding of how sites actually make money, okay? And then the last part of why most blogs fail is that people just don't know how to scale, right? And what I mean scale is get your content up to where you have a couple of hundred posts on your site, to where you're going from, maybe $200 a month to $2,000 a month, and from $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month, because that is possible if you have the right framework and systems in place, okay? And I always like to, when I'm doing a training, is talk about, why do we care? Like, why should I even care about niche sites? Why should I think about starting one? So these are screenshots from two different niche sites of mine. One, you're looking at a Mediavine screenshot, and the second one, you're looking at an affiliate screenshot from my personal finance site, right? So one site, right? So a monthly earning for Mediavine was $13,600. My credit site, a 30-day earning was $14,600, right? So these are two different sites in two different niches, both six-figure earners, two different niche sites. And this is why we care, because look, you're a blogger, you know blogs can make money. Same thing with niche sites. If we set them up properly from the beginning, the potential is definitely there. So if you don't know me, just quickly, my name is Mike. I'm the founder of Stupid Simple SEO. I teach Pinterest bloggers how to scale their traffic with SEO, and I teach bloggers how to start their own niche sites from scratch. So you can see my family here, my wife Kate, we've been married about 7 years now. We just moved out to California with our two little kids. You can see Charlotte and Jack in this picture right here. But look, you don't really care about my family, you care how I can help you start your own income producing niche sites, okay? I've been creating successful niche sites for over 7 years now. This is not something that I've just gotten into. I've been doing this for quite some time. And I've taught 2,500 bloggers how to grow their traffic with SEO and how to build their own niche sites, right? And today my niche sites earn around $20,000 per month combined. One of those sites I do make public. It's called credittakeoff.com. You can see the URL right there. Go check it out right now. This past month, it will do $15,000 per month. So I've been building these sites for a while. This is not something that I just picked up on in the past couple of months and I'm trying to teach about it right now. So in terms of side hustle income, right, niche sites are the number one way, when I was first starting out, that I grew my side hustle income, okay? But it wasn't the niche sites themselves that made the biggest impact. It was actually my strategy for starting and scaling those sites that mattered the most, okay? So again, two niche sites, $20,000 per month, and this is almost entirely quote unquote passive income, okay? I don't use Pinterest on either site. I don't have an email list on either site, and I'm not selling products on either site, okay? It all started by creating a system to build and scale these niche sites out, okay? So when you have a niche site system, it helps me be reasonably certain that I'm earning or entering a profitable niche before starting, okay? So when you're starting a new site, you wanna have some sense of certainty that the niche is actually profitable, right? Having a system helps me identify and publish hundreds of blog post ideas that can bring me traffic. In other words, I have a list of different blog post ideas for both of my sites that I know I have a reasonable chance of ranking in Google and getting traffic from that content. And having a niche site system helps me bring in, as I said, 6 figures in passive ad and affiliate income per year with my sites. But most importantly, I am finally now set to leave my full-time corporate job. I am going to leave my job and do this stuff full-time. I can drop my daughter off at school every single morning. My wife can choose to pursue things that actually interest her, and we can do things like invest in our kids' 529 plans without thinking twice. All right, let's talk about blogger problems that I see, bloggers who aren't making any money, right? The biggest problem I see is that most bloggers pick the wrong niche, okay? Bloggers are told to blog about your passions, okay? And that a huge audience would fall in love with your story. But the truth is, no one really seems to care. When you blog only about your passions and what you're interested in and what happens in your life, it's really, really hard to get a following that way. And the way that we see this kind of manifest itself is what you're looking at in this screenshot here, right? This is just one example of how people start their blog, right? I would like to start a blog about addicts and maintaining life, right? Which, might be a noble topic to write about in terms of helping people, but in terms of getting traffic and making money, right? These types of niches don't really work well. Now, below this screenshot, you'll see that this Facebook admin, which I won't mention by name, is encouraging these types of blogs because they'll sign up for the Bluehost link and get an affiliate commission and so on and so forth, right? So certain gurus kind of encourage this. Blog about your passions or maintaining life and you'll be fine. But this is actually problem number one. When you only think about your passions or you only think about something that happened to you in your life or a journey that you went on and you think other people will be interested in that too. Blogger problem number 2 is just not being able to get enough traffic, right? Maybe you've started a blog in the past, you've put out great content, but no one's actually reading it, right? Or maybe you're following all the tips in these blogging Facebook groups, but you're still hearing crickets, right? And then you're jumping from one content strategy to the next, right? And you see it again here. This person, they're feeling super low. I put so much work into my post and everything. I think I'm doing right, and I have 2 page views in the last month, right? This is what happens when you don't have a clear strategy for creating content. Blogger problem number 3, right? Most bloggers I know, they're just sick of the Pinterest roller coaster, right? You're creating fresh pins all day long, right? Just when you think that you figured it out, Pinterest takes it all away. Maybe your pins are getting stolen or your account is getting shut down and you're just sick of Pinterest, right? And these are just 2 examples of kind of how this manifests itself, where your traffic is just getting cut in half overnight and you just have absolutely no control over that whatsoever. All right, let's talk about reality here, right? The blogging space is more crowded than ever before, okay? And a lot of challenges that I see with people is that they're struggling to find the right niche. They're struggling to get consistent traffic, and they're struggling to monetize and scale their site to a new or to the next level, right? The reality is also, in my opinion, it's never been easier to create a profitable niche blog from scratch, right? So let's talk about why niche sites are such a great side hustle right now. The truth is, you can make a full-time income from your niche site, okay? Again, I'll send you the URL of my website, credit-takeoff.com. I scaled this site from zero, from a brand new domain, making $0 to over $10,000 per month in just 18 months. And currently, the site is still less than 2 years old. It's currently making $15,000 per month. We're adding 6 to 8 articles every single month, just to give you an idea of how much content we're actually putting out on the site. But this site is primarily managed by one virtual assistant that I have and one freelance writer, right? That's it. There's not a huge team involved. All of these writers pumping out articles every single day. It's a handful of articles every month, and it's managed. Again, 95% of this is hands off. I have a VA and a freelance writer, and the site is making $15,000 per month. Another reason to love the niche site game is that if you wanted to eventually down the line, you can cash out or sell your site for a pretty big payout, right? There is a market of niche site buyers, right? If you go on a website like empireflippers.com, you'll see this in action. It's a listing of niche sites that people can and do buy. So generally speaking, with these types of marketplaces, you could end up selling your niche site for 36 times the monthly profit, right? So I have a couple of examples here. If you got your niche site up to earning $2,000 per month, you could potentially sell that site for $72,000. If you got your niche site up to $5,000 per month in profit, you could potentially sell that site for $180,000, right? And you keep going. So my site right now currently makes about $15,000 per month. That puts a valuation on that one niche site, if I were to sell it, potentially $540,000. Again, you can go check out the marketplace yourself. It's called empireflippers.com if you want to see examples of what I'm talking about. All right, another reason to love niche sites, as I mentioned, it's mostly passive, right? So when we build these niche sites, we build them with evergreen content, meaning that the topic of the post that we write about or the articles that we write about never really goes out of style. So it's always, people are always searching for that type of content. It really is the mentality that I take of, we're going to publish this post once and then move on to the next post. We really don't have to go back to our old content. Maybe we can update or refresh it once a year or so, but once it's published, we'll just move on to the next post. There's no continuous promotion. We're not going into Facebook groups and spamming groups with links to our niche sites. And you don't have to do Pinterest. You can if you want to. But for my sites, I don't do any pinning. I'm not wasting or spending any time on Pinterest. The idea here is that Google will keep sending you traffic as long as your content is high quality. So again, we publish a piece of content, let Google do its thing, and then we move on to the next post. So it really is mostly passive. And the other good thing about this passive thing is that you can kind of work on your site on the side. In other words, if you have a full-time job, if you have kids, or maybe you have another blog that's taking up more of your time, if you can publish 4 pieces of content on your niche site passively and only publish content, that's really all the time you have to spend. So you write your four articles a month, you publish them, and then you kind of just do other things, right? You can work on your blog, you can focus on your full-time job or your kids. You really can run your niche site as a side project. Now, the good thing is that once you learn this process of creating and scaling your niche sites, you can apply it to many, many sites, okay? So I don't know anyone who just starts one niche site. You almost kind of get addicted to it where you want to go out and start 2 or 3 or 4 different sites, right? You have the potential to build a portfolio of sites in different niches based on the process and framework that you're going to learn, right? So you can, if you have a portfolio of sites, you can keep some of those sites for income, or maybe it's making a couple $1,000s per month, and maybe your other sites, if they grow, you can sell those for a lump sum and cash them out. Now, I can understand you may be thinking, I've started a blog before and it tanked or it never got traffic, right? And again, we talked about this. If you choose a bad niche, you're done before you even get started. And that is the main problem I've seen talking to hundreds of bloggers who just never saw success with their blog. Mostly it's because you have a bad niche, or maybe you were focused on all of the wrong things, right? You spending your time on all of the wrong things, like getting a good logo or talking about your tagline or posting on social media, right? So you have limited time, but you're spending that time on the wrong things. Another thing I see is that people probably give up a little too early on their sites. Again, my credit site is less than 2 years old, but it took a solid 6 to 9 months before I really started seeing that momentum, and then it just eventually took off. But most bloggers, if they're like, I'm in month 2 and I'm not getting a ton of traffic, if you want to start a blog or a niche site from scratch and make a solid part-time or even full-time income, it's going to take work and it's going to take time. Speaking of time, now when I say time, I mean time for it to grow in terms of waiting a certain amount of months, not necessarily times that you have to devote to working on the site. Because I understand, look, some people have full-time jobs, some people have kids, some people have both. But with a niche site, really the focus is on content or creating content. So if you can have the time to devote to creating, a handful of articles per month, then you can eventually scale out your niche site. And again, once you learn this framework, you can kind of repeatedly implement it on autopilot month after month, right? The most critical blogging skill that you can learn is how to create content and how to consistently create content. And I just want to show you an example from my other niche blog. Okay, so this is a site that I spent literally a couple of hours per month on. And again, this one is also handled by the same VA and a different writer. On this site, we literally are only publishing 1 post per week. That's it, 4 posts per month. Now, this site is a little older. It's almost 3 years old. I think it's a little older than 3 years old now, but you can see, we had a month over the summer where it did 528,000 page views. 1 month, all from Google, right? There's no active promotion on Pinterest or Facebook groups or anything like that. Again, we just publish content, let Google do its thing, and move on to the next post. But this is the type of traffic potential. I'm not saying it's easy to get to this point, but the potential is here for 500,000 page views per month. And again, as I mentioned today, I passively earn about $20,000 or more every month from my 2 niche sites. I don't have an audience. I don't have an email list. I don't use Pinterest, right? It's just 2 niche sites. We use SEO to get traffic, and we use affiliate marketing and also Mediavine on one of these sites in order to earn income. Okay, so in video number 2, I'm going to talk about the 3 major mistakes to avoid when you're starting a new niche blog. All right, I'll see you over in that video.